Okay, I'm here with Exene Cervenka, and she's on tour with her new album, Somewhere Gone.
Right.
Tell me about the new record.
Well, the new record, Somewhere Gone, is very folky, very pretty, very quiet, very sad. A lot of different instrumentation than what people might be used to hearing me do with X and the Knitters. A lot of strings and a lot of piano, and I wrote all the songs and play guitar. And there's one song called Beneath the Willow that is, I didn't write, it's an old traditional, but other than that, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I noticed the record's a little bit on the short side. It's like 34 minutes. Mm-hmm. Were there some songs that you wanted on the record but then cut them at some point?
I'm like really old school about stuff like that. I think in terms of vinyl still, and I like that, 15 minutes aside. Uh-huh. And I think 35 minutes is plenty, and you can listen to it twice if it's short.
Okay. All right, so that's all you wanted on the record then?
Yeah, that was my vision for that record, and the next record might be a little longer.
Uh-huh.
I'm working on the next record right now. So.
All right, what's the next record going to be called, do you know?
It's going to be called The Excitement of Maybe.
Okay. And is it in the similar kind of
very
sound
similar,
that you're doing
very
now?
similar, yeah.
Mm-hmm. How do you like working with Bloodshot Records?
Bloodshot Records is completely awesome. I love all the people that work there. I love what they do. I love their attitude. I love their vision. I love what they've done for American music, and I'm really happy to be there.
Uh-huh. Now, I thought it was funny that some expatriate British punk rockers would go to Chicago and start up a rebel country label.
Well, they're not English.
They're not?
No, they're from Chicago.
Oh, okay.
Rob is from Detroit.
All right.
But yeah, Chicago is, I grew up an hour from Chicago in the country. Mm-hmm. And when you grew up in the 50s or 60s, you grew up country, generally, unless you were in an urban environment. You listened to Johnny Cash and stuff like that, growing up. So it makes sense to me.
Okay. And you were in Idaho for a while?
I was in Idaho for a while. I was in Missouri for a while. I grew up in Illinois. I lived in Florida when I was a teenager. Then I moved to LA and met John Doe and got an X. Then I moved with my husband Vigo to Idaho for a while and our son Henry. Then I moved back to California and I lived there for a while. And then I moved to Missouri for 4 years. And then I moved back to California. And that's where I am now, and that's where I'm going to stay.
Okay. Your son is now 22 years old.
Correct.
How does that make you feel?
Fantastic. My son is the awesomest kid in the world. But I don't talk about him in interviews too much because I think he's at the age now and the things that he does in his life are really interesting that he should be interviewed too on his own for what he does. So I just want to say he's awesome.
All right. Besides your work as a musician, you also do poetry and art. What gives you the most satisfaction?
Well, I'm very satisfied having art, poetry, and music together to work with because I do art when I don't want to get into my emotions too much, when I just want to go straight into a zen, make something. And then with words, it's more you have to think about how you feel. So art is a break from thinking about how you feel sometimes. So I like to do music when I've really got a lot on my mind, and art when I just want to escape what's on my mind.
Mm-hmm. Now, I heard about one exhibit where you had these pieces that you had made from stuff you had accumulated while you were on the road.
Yeah, I do collage and assemblage, so it's all stuff that I find. Uh-huh. Thrift stores, junkyards, junk shops, on the ground, people give me stuff, all that kind of stuff.
I saw X at the Great America theme park in Santa Clara in 1980, I think it was. They had us all penned in a small space surrounded by a 10-foot high steel fence.
Yeah.
Then later sprayed us all with fire extinguishers.
Really? Early punk days, you weren't welcome anywhere, right? Not even at a Great American theme park.
Well,
all right.
Some kids had some little zines that they were handing out, and then other kids thought it might be fun to set them on fire.
I see.
And so then they came in with the fire extinguishers.
Awesome.
After all these years, does any of this sound familiar to you?
Yeah, it all sounds familiar. The fire extinguisher part especially. That would happen frequently at shows. There wasn't anything else to play with for punk kids, fire extinguisher and wreck the bathroom. What else could you do?
Yeah. Okay, besides your solo tour and work with X, what else are you working on? Well, you were telling me about your new
Well,
album.
right now I'm working on my new album, and we started recording, and I'm really excited about it because I think the people that are going to be on it are awesome, and I think the songs are my best songs I've ever written, so I'm going to finish that up in June. So that's my main focus right now, is doing the indie record store tour, playing some X shows, some knitter shows, some shows on the East Coast with me and John solo, doing acoustic, and then making my record.
Oh, okay. Now, I don't know if this will make sense to you, but after 30 years ago, Johnny Rotten announced there's no future. That somehow we're all still here, and the punk rock scene shows no signs of going away.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny to you?
It is a little funny to me that the punk rock scene has hung on for all these years, but it was a valid thing, just like folk music or beatniks or hippies or anything else. It was a valid, revolutionary cultural movement that will last forever because it's valid. But, Johnny Rotten is an amazing figurehead for the punk movement, but certainly not the spokesman for me.
Okay. After all the albums X has released over the years, do you have a favorite?
I don't really have a favorite. I love Los Angeles because Ray Manzarek played on it, and I love Under the Big Black Sun because I think it's our best record. But, there's songs on Ain't Love Grand that I like Burning House of Love is one of my favorite X songs. So, there are favorite songs on each record.
And after all these years together as X, on and off as a band, does it ever seem tiring?
No. I treasure every second that I have left on this planet singing X songs. I love singing with John. I love that band. I love those songs. I'm always excited when we play because I know it might be the last time. So I'm into it big time.
Okay. So it's not like the Beatles in the later years where they got sick of each other.
Well, no, it's not like the Beatles. And X is a unique band. We're a survivor band. We're really lucky we're still all around. And I appreciate that.
You've collaborated with Lydia Lunch on some projects. Would you say you two have similar approaches to the work or shared
Not
vision?
at all.
So you're two different
Lydia and I are day and night, and our philosophies and everything else. We wrote Adulterers Anonymous in the early 80s, and we worked together really great on that. And yes, we had a similar approach then, but I think musically we're not anything alike. So the spoken word stuff worked for us, but I wouldn't say that musically we would collaborate. Probably. I don't see that happening.
Okay, so two totally different people then.
Yeah, but I love her to death. But we are very different people, and she's in Spain now, so I love Lydia.
Does anybody call you Christine?
My lawyer.
Okay. You've done readings from the Unabomber manifesto.
Yeah, I did the Unabomber manifesto.
Why did you do that?
Well, I did the Unabomber manifesto with a friend of mine. When he published his manifesto in the paper, it was so insane. Like, some of his stuff was like very valid points, neo-Luddite kind of thinking, no computers, no technology. And I thought some of what he said was so insane and so stupid. And some of what he said was so smart. And he's a cult figure, he's like John Dillinger or something, Of course, blowing up people I think is wrong. So we weren't doing a tribute to him, but we just wanted to do an art project based on the Unabomber manifesto. So we did some selected excerpts and put some funny music in the background and stuff and put out this 200 CD thing. And like the next day he was captured. And it was just so insane because I wasn't doing it because he was captured. I was doing it because he wasn't captured. And I didn't know who he was or anything about him. And it was really interesting when that happened. But, it was just a little art project, really, not a little bit of a political statement, to be sure.
Well, he demanded that his manifesto be printed.
Yes.
And then his brother read the manifesto and said, "That sounds like my brother."
Yeah.
And then
they caught him. That's what happens. You shoot off your mouth. You're supposed to stay underground. Doesn't everybody know that?